Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? Good day. Welcome to the Vuka Nazo Show. My name is Sihle Ngobese, aka Big Daddy Liberty. Remember, whether you're watching this simulcast on Facebook or YouTube, do me a favor, hit that like button right now. If it is on YouTube, then we'll subscribe to the show and hit that bell notification. Help me reach my goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Guys, remember, we have a website. Find us, and you can also support us financially there by going to BigDaddyLiberty.com. Now, with that being said, enough of the jibber jabber. Let's get straight into the news. It was pandemonium and carnage on the streets of Soweto, just outside Johannesburg, at the famous Maponya Mall, where effectively armed men, proceeded to attack e-Haling services. That's the Uber or Bolt vehicles that a lot of people use and a very popular service. The attack happening in the evening, very violent, and indeed vehicles being torched, and allegedly two drivers of these vehicles being shot at. Watch this.
Wanyewa wafethu bakuthubela dikara Maponya Mall Uber drivers kaofela wafethu ba khawathile ba ile dipetlele. This is Maponya Mall right now. Taxi owners are shooting Ubers.
Now, of course, you'll know that these sort of attacks have been happening for a while. Indeed, e-Haling drivers have even protested about the lack of safety from them, as indeed the competition they bring to the transport market is ruffling feathers in this particular industry, especially the feathers of those who operate in this industry in a rather thuggish manner, and that is that's minibus taxi operators. But nonetheless, this particular incident, no one really knowing at the moment as to who is behind it. Lot of speculation, though, that it is the traditional minibus taxi drivers behind the SANTACO, that is the South African National Taxi Council, basically saying it doesn't know much information about this. I'm going to take from the South African piece, which basically wrote up the response of SANTACO, saying the following. Now, SANTACO spokesperson Ubafana Magagula said they were not aware of the violent attacks and urged anyone who may have witnessed the incident and can identify the culprits to come forward. We, as he's quoted as saying, as SANTACO condemn this kind of violence in the strongest terms possible. He says Magagula said they still need to establish whether taxi drivers themselves were behind the attacks or if it was just hooligans before they comment any further. End of quote. Again, this is an ongoing issue, and guess who is missing in all of this? Yes, that's right, the South African government, and more so, this guy, the asshat himself, the police minister Ubheki Cele. This is the dude who should be invariably enforcing the law. It is the absence of law enforcement in this particular transport sector and on this particular issue that is creating this vacuum for hooligans and thugs to effectively boss their way and intimidate their way in this sector. And of course, the government at large is also to blame by not playing what is rightfully its responsibility, that of referee, setting about a clear legislative framework for all of these operators to work under. And that indeed is the problem. Indeed, it's a problem that's also spotted by the operators within the e-Haling service. Here's their spokesperson speaking to E-News Africa, basically pointing out that the state needs to play its role. Now, I need to quickly say this because there's one area I'll disagree with him on this. The state shouldn't set prices for anything except just set the parameters for how everybody in the transport sector should compete. But nonetheless, here is the spokesperson for the e-Haling sector. They formed their own little union, a chap named Vuka Nazo Show, speaking to Newsroom Africa.
We have our government which has failed to creates a healthy ecosystem within transportation where the different participants can complement each other instead of compete with each other. Now, as a failure of government to deploy a price-determining instrument within the e-hailing industry, the Bolts and Ubers of this world have undermined the traditional transportation industry, the traditional taxi industry, and the pricing is set to compete directly with that segment of public transportation, which makes no sense. And hence you are seeing these violent attacks because our government has simply failed to intervene. It's been a decade. I've been at the front line of having these dialogues on Newsroom for many years now. And there's no reason as to why government has not deployed efficient interventions to make sure this violence is eradicated. And then there's a healthy transportation mix in which all can participate in a safe manner.
Yeah.
Again, you heard it from him. This is an ongoing issue, and yes, it does need the state to step in, especially in the here and now with law enforcement. These incidents and these scenes that we saw at the Maponya Mall are completely unacceptable. The sort of breakdown in law and order is completely unacceptable, and those individuals should find themselves behind bars. But beyond that, the state should come to the fore, enforce the law on the one hand, but also set rules for these guys to operate and compete with each other. All right, that's it for this episode of Vuka Nazo. Please, hey, let me know what you think about this particular matter. Leave a comment, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. The most important thing you can do is to, yes, hit that like button, but more importantly, share the stream. Please share it widely. With that being said, if you're looking to support the work that we're doing here, and it's the advocacy work in particular, then please consider contributing to the show. How do you do that? Find a payment method that suits you at our website. That's at bigdaddyliberty.com. Now, if you like any of the stories that we covered here, the links are in the descriptor. With that being said, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next episode of the Vuka Nazo Show.